Life Lessons is sponsored by Intracellular Therapies.
Well, we are back with some really important life lessons about the art of owning our mistakes and also learning from those mistakes. Here to help us, psychotherapist and author, Niro Feliciano. Always good to have you.
Good morning.
Thanks for. So, I mean, let's just start with, maybe we start with the why. Like, why is it so hard for all of us, especially me, to admit when you messed up?
Full disclosure, I've had to work on this. Like, I enjoy being right. And, like, no one wants to go to a therapist who's wrong all the time. Like, mess up everybody's life. Right? But so it goes back to formative years, likely, and the messages we received about making mistakes. Was it safe to make a mistake, emotionally, physically? What were the consequences? Were we only praised or validated when we got things right and acknowledged in that way? So in that case, it's often tied to our feelings of love being right, our self-worth. And what happens in our brain is we don't translate it like I made a mistake. It can translate to I am a mistake. And that's a lot of heavier feelings there. So we have to separate an event from an identity and also focus on all the things that we do right instead of myopically focus on what's wrong. That's gotten easier for me after 20 years. You know, you realize, okay, there are things that you do right.
And you also maintain you should fight internal self-talk.
Yes, that negative inner critic. You know, oftentimes when I work with someone with an anxiety disorder, I'm like, who is a critical figure in your life? They know. They know who it was, and they replay that voice. So, again, focusing on what you do right and correcting that self-talk.
I feel like I need to parent differently now. Because I tend to point out mistakes, right? It's just like a natural thing to do. So if you do find the courage to own up to a mistake, what are the benefits internally for yourself?
So many, you know, vulnerability, humility. I think those are two really important qualities for a leader. But this is where imposter syndrome sets in. We think, oh, I might be perceived as incompetent or less capable. And having worked with leaders for years, imposter syndrome is a rite of passage when you transcend to another level. But here's the interesting thing. There was a study in 2022 that said people who admit when they're wrong are actually perceived as more competent and more likable.
Wow.
Because they're more relatable, it increases trust and connection. And then you foster this environment where it's normalized to make mistakes and people try more. They take risks. That's where creativity grows. So
really
win-win.
In fact, Dylan, you raised a good point about parenting. Because I'll never forget, I was about 12 years old, and I remember my dad coming to me. There was something he thought I did. Turns out I didn't, and he apologized to me. He said he was wrong. And that has stuck with me. I'm not that great at doing it myself, but
you remembered.
But I remember, and so this affects how we parent,
sure does.
And even in relationships.
You foster an environment of honesty. And I don't know if you remember, there was a post that Kristen Bell had about writing a note, apologizing to her kids for getting angry. That's a beautiful...
There's the note.
It's the note. I lost my temper last night twice. I owe you both an apology. What kids learn is more caught than taught. That's a great example of repair. And we don't have to always apologize for the event or what you're mad about, but how it was conveyed. And just be prepared in parenting. You're going to mess this up 100 times. Like even last week, one of my teenagers said to me, Mom, can you not do something when I'm upset? And I said, of course. What? She goes, can you not invalidate my feelings?
Oh.
And my first thought was like, right? I was like, you did not just use therapy words against me, you know? But she was right. I said, I'm so sorry. You're right. I did that. And automatically released tension. Walls came down. And you know why this is so important with teens? You do not want them to hide mistakes from you. You want them to come to you. You want them to be able to go to you for help so you can walk them through it.
Really quick, and I think this is important. Besides owning it, like what is some other advice for people who feel like, I really screwed this up?
Yeah. So one, we have to look at the stories we're telling ourselves about ourselves because of the mistake and the stories we're telling ourselves about what other people are saying. Like think about baby Sky, you know, Delano, Cal, when they're grown, they make these mistakes. What would you say to them? Those are the words we need to receive for ourselves. They're much more gracious. And, you know, I'd love to tell you that we grow, we become our best selves, we evolve when things are good. But all of you know that's not true. We grow when there's adversity, we grow when there's uncertainty, and we grow when we make mistakes. And it's this whole idea that now that we know better, do better. That's all that this is about.
Well, thank you. It's always great. Always great to have you. My goodness. For more on talking to loved ones who struggle to admit when they're wrong, you can check out the latest edition of Niro's column, Is This Normal? That's the name of the column. Is This Normal? It's at today.com. Third Hour Today right back after this. It's the name now.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.